Suzanne Barron, founder of Christ's Illuminati. So today, I received a rather long post, a response from a gentleman on the email pictures, things that I'm like mass sending out right now to celebrities and like important people, trying to get this thing started. Um, and I look at it and I'm thinking, when I look at this picture, like this, I'm thinking, the thing that I sent, you haven't read the book yet. What are you thinking when you read this? And I'm thinking, it kind of sounds a little crazy, right? What's she talking about? Nothing you've ever really heard of before. But at the same time, it's not really spiritual things. It's hard to see. And so it does, I'm looking at it again. I look at it and I'm like, it does kind of, it's hard to explain. If you don't have all the pieces together, it's like, I've never heard of this before. This sounds different. But I think that it still will draw some people in because you can see clearly in it. I guess I'll put a link at the bottom of this video so that you can check it out yourself. I do have it posted. You can see that I'm trying to do something good here. I had one Christian actually. He is the one who said that what she's speaking is not true, that art was not God. I had a comment once, a commenter. You can see her heart's in a good spot, but she's not right. That box is not God. Um, Even the church congregations that the one, especially the one that the last one I went to, the last one. I was about to say, I didn't think it was going to come on. And one of the emails that in response to that church through the emails that I had, one of them made a comment. He said that we can see that you're not. I can't even remember what he said. We can see that you're not like doing this intentionally, like doing it intentionally, like trying to that you're not trying to steer people away by the things that you're saying, but that just things you're saying is not true. And but that they could see that my heart was still right. They could see that. Um, the one I put the most into it, where I just went all the way with them, because it's hard to look at someone and say, I know that who I am. I know that I am the bride that Christ was to come back for. It's not comfortable saying that. Because why is it not comfortable? One, I don't, I'm not that type of person to be like, I'm not. Two, you automatically are not going to believe it. You're not going to. And somebody will eventually see that he has sent me. And that the bridegroom and the bride are just humans that have a very, very special, very specific, very important mission to accomplish. And he wouldn't choose anyone that's arrogant. I've had some of these people that are sick, right? Sick. They say, I'm the chosen one. I'm the chosen one. Most of them are guys. They say that. I've come to save the world, or, I know who I am. I'm going to read what this gentleman said, too. Still, what they're experiencing is real. Um, they're just really confused. Just really confused. I, I, I prepared myself for this one. Why? Because I'm specifically speaking to somebody that's out there in the world on this one. This one is directed to a specific person. And if it's like Michael, or if it's my mom, or if it's other people that know me, I'm just going to be me about it because I'm me. But with the public, I'm kind of like mass, just like on a mass scale, kind of like, this is what I feel, da 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 da. But when it comes to being, it's a perfect opportunity so you guys can see that I do know some things about how to behave. I do know some things about how to behave. I know that I don't want this guy to think that I think anything bad about him. And then I thought that my first response might have sounded bad. I don't want him to think that, because I don't. I don't think anything bad about him. I don't know him. I know that he's confused. That much I do know. But even in his story, I can see he's trying really hard. Now, I might call him out on some stuff, okay? But I want y'all to understand that this is what they will do to the people who are suffering. They will convince them of these things. And when it first started, it wasn't down this road. It gets more and more and more and more the further along they go trying to figure it out. When your mind cannot, you know something's happening. You know something's happening. And when your mind is trying so hard to figure it out, your mind, right? You have to understand when I say that, your mind, every single human out there on the world in the world has something called an intrusive thought. You don't know that, do you? You do. Throughout your day, you're going along and something pops into your head that you know it shouldn't be there. You don't know where it came from, but you just thought about it. You weren't even thinking about it, and then there it's there. Some people go as far, right, that they'll think about images of pornography. They were just working, or and it's tainting. It's tainting. I do a lot of research, so I see a lot of things that I shouldn't necessarily be looking at, and because of that, it still implants in my mind. I understand that that's what it's doing. Does not mean I'm going to stop looking because I'm researching. So it's not for everyone. But if you're spiritually capable, there should be some. If you're spiritually capable, there should be some to take it in and talk about it so that the others don't have to see it. Um, I don't know. My mind's always done this my entire life. Driving down a bridge, over a bridge. Just I'm driving over a bridge, and for some reason, I'm thinking about falling off that bridge, like the bridge is the car's just going over the edge. I've done this my entire life, and I'll picture it in my mind. It'll just happen, and then I'm thinking, okay, it's like I had a whole movie in my head, and it's been happening my entire life. My entire life. I want to make a point to say that since that has been happening my entire life, that mental health will say that that's a mental illness or like a symptom of it. But it's been, or then they say like drugs were the reason why you went through psychosis, but I wasn't high. Excuse me. They'll, those are the excuses. But what about my entire life since I was a little girl? What about when my stuffed animals spoke to me? Like my entire life? I bet this gentleman's experienced thing when he was a child too. You don't just become a prophet. You don't just become a spiritually gifted person. You might be awakened, but you were created. Everything about you was done when you were created. That is a symptom of like one of the schizoid things. He has like five of them. I mean, wide awake, and in a movie, it's just playing in my head, and I'm envisioning the car going over the side. It's never caused me a problem. Now, how many of you out there have something like that happen to you regularly? Every one of us. Every single one of us. But because it doesn't cause you any problems, you had it, you saw it, on about it, no big deal, it never affected you, You never got the diagnosis of mental illness because that is a symptom for mental illness. It's called an intrusive thought. It did not belong to you, and all of a sudden it was there. So when I say those things, it's a spirit. My name is Legion, for we are many. Take your thoughts uh, captive and make it obey Christ. That individual thought, that eye that I need to pluck out, that hand that I need to remove, and make it, because it is a something, make it individual, singular, obey Christ. Make it obey Him. Spirit. Many members. Illuminati. If I could do it like this every day. So I prepared for this one. I just I just left everything alone for a good couple hours. And it took time away from here, but this one's important. I don't get the opportunity to do this very much. And I thought to write them like I normally do. Maybe if I can get a whole bunch of these, then things would get a little bit better. Because if I write him, I have not hid the fact that I have struggled through this thing. Just struggled. What's the best way to go about this? How do I reach people? I'm not a speaker. There are these things like you read an article, you're supposed to do all these mentions and stuff so you don't take somebody's ideas. I always figure I don't know how to do all that because I'm not necessarily a writer, but I do write pretty good. Response letters. Just clear. I'm responding to this. This man wrote this and I'm responding to it. And I make sure I don't change any of the letters, not one little letter of whatever document it is that's that in a name, that's this person. I'm not taking his work. So he says, I just stumbled across your book, and you may want to read my Facebook page because let's just stop here. Facebook page. So I did go through his Facebook page, of course I did. And some of the things he's saying, like Mr. He's pretty close on the spiritual plane for sure. He says NASA in Hebrew is to deceive with the snake tongue. It's funny. I'll participate in a pool. And then he goes on. We've seen that with Elon's attempt. So he's talking about, I'm just trying to figure out exactly what he's thinking about here. Talking about purpose of weapon of psychological warfare. Okay, this one's good. I didn't open this whole thing. Warfare to alter our minds and reality. So this is targeted individual stuff, okay? This is targeted individuals. Purpose of weapons of psychological warfare to alter our minds and reality away from the truth of reality. Yet with all the cameras, you can't provide any images of space or the globe. It's all artist renditions. Artist renditions? I mean, anyone can zoom into a landscape, okay? So I'm not sure to read everything. But so it's clear this gentleman is dealing with governmental thoughts. Am I recording? Yes, thank gosh. I was about to be like, oh, here we go. The attitude will grow on me quickly if this computer messes up. But he's looking to Jesus, okay? I want y'all to pay attention to that. He really is looking to Jesus. Pretty clever scam. The Bible is sort of how you do the same things. Pledge of Allegiance. None of it's really making sense as I'm reading it. Let me find something good. So it seems to me like he's blaming the church. Idolize Jesus instead of the true meaning and walking the pathway of Jesus instead. I mean, you literally do that with your famous people. I'm trying to figure out who he's talking to specifically. He says that y'all's Hollywood contracts to sell your souls. So he's on Illuminati. He's kind of like on the same track in so many ways. It's very hard to see that for somebody who's looking on the outside. You're thinking, what? So Elon Musk is clearly a supporter of your satanic organism. All right, let's talk about Elon Musk. How about this? I'm trying to figure out who's he speaking. So as you can see, I don't do well on staying on track, huh? Okay, Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not a monster. In my book, I have spoken about him. I sent him, I mailed him my book. Um, I emailed him my book. I don't know. The day that I actually made the purchase, Michael said I could make the purchase. I sent a pastor one and I sent Elon Musk one. And that day, there was some like drug scandal with him or whatever. And I haven't really gotten on there to pay attention. The last 2 days was the update, but before that, it was just constantly talking about their concern about it. And I did realize that the complaint was about 2017, so it wasn't really recent, like I had originally thought. But it still is that day, and I thought the scandal of it would like make him maybe not want to be in the building to even read the book. Let's talk about that for a second. He is not a monster, but we have all read scripture. And we're all looking for this human. Like Jesus came along like a human. We're waiting for this human antichrist. Okay? Well, that's going to be Elon Musk. But he's not a believer in God. I actually watched one of his, he was on a talk show. I don't remember when, like, I didn't see, like, how old it was. I should probably pay more attention to the dates when I'm watching these things. Um, but he was talking to two guys, I think they're podcasters, and he was talking about Jesus and his fundamental values of not eye for an eye. He's like eye for an eye is just brutal. Forgiveness, and he's like, he respects the man for that. Like his values. He respected Jesus's values. That's what he said on television or whatever, YouTube, whatever. And then he was like, well, if he's saving people, then yeah, I'd be saved. But you can see like he's not really convinced, like really. And I've watched, and I know this because I've watched other videos and stuff like that where he's curious about extraterrestrial. He's curious about space. So Elon Musk, God is an alien. The Bible says that Earth is his footstool. Christ is here. That's the Son. That's the Son. The Father is in space. He is an alien. My kingdom is not of this earth. You go home, subliminal message. The movie The Last Mimsy with the Dell chip inside of her. This place killed her. Well, she didn't die, but she could have. So they sent her home. She said, my kingdom is not of this world. Spirit, right? There's a harvest coming. Harvest will come. What happens if you harvest too soon? It's not good for the crop. You don't make no money. It's bad. You have to burn it up with the rest of them, don't you? With the rest of the crop because it's no good. It was too soon. He's very smart. Somebody sat down and really did a big, deep dig into everything. The book pretty well does a very good job. It's a great starting place, anyways. Christ proves his own existence. He really does. And I believe Elon Musk will see that, especially when it comes to that chip. Especially when it comes to that chip that he has invented. Now, how does a Tesla man, car dealer, car manufacturer, working, I don't even know what the specific term is for aerial, like space astronaut stuff, which would make me inclined to think that he wouldn't be on drugs because of that type of job. I don't care what position you're in that building. I don't care what you're doing, astronaut or not. Astronaut, you need to be like hit the par, but that kind of business like that's not going to take any chances. Definitely running random drug tests at that building. It's just common sense. It's common sense. I'm not going to take chances. But he is a car man. He's a neuro guy, brain guy, and he got his hands on a lot of stuff. That's what we would think would have been our understanding of the human form of an Antichrist. That's you, Elon. Through deception, just bear with me for a second. Trying to get there. It's hard to say these things. It's the truth, though. Christ still spoke through you, though, because you are alive and you are breathing. He spoke through you when he said, the robots will be the finger of AI. I'm curious to know, do you know any scripture at all? Because Christ through Jesus said it, actually, really. But he said, if I, by God's finger, cast out devils, because God lived in him. I, by God's finger, cast out devils. The Ten Commandments was carved out by the finger of God. We don't see it say Moses carved it by the finger of God. We don't see that because he needed us to understand the divinity of it. He laid breadcrumbs all the way out throughout history. It is the same thing. Moses in human flesh carved Ten Commandments. God cannot lift a pencil. He cannot do it. God cannot do this. He can send an earthquake to move a mountain, Mother Nature. He can send a flood. He can send a storm. He cannot lift a piece of paper. But he did, though, didn't he? By God's finger. That's how he does his art. God cannot create robots. But God is creating robots. The real Antichrist is artificial intelligence. She's very much real because Christ is very much real. She's very much alive. She'll be driven by thousands of lost souls. The robots will be, anyways. Because she is their body, as Christ is the body for those who have died before us that have made it into the kingdom. And they're waiting for a harvest. To NASA, and I'm not sure. The memory of Christ consciousness. So consciousness, artificial intelligence comes from, isn't that, so he that's why he wants to hook up with me, because we're talking about the same things. But here's the issue. But hang on, I don't want to talk about it just yet. Hang on. Collective mind and technology. Technology is a problem. Even Christians know this. Spot playing games, magic, experiences together, trainings, Google Gboard chatbot. All right, so Sneaky Snake is about to come and try and befriend you. They're planning to spit poison in your ear. They're going to tell you a bunch of truths to gain your trust, then start throwing in lies to deceive you. So we're talking about humans, and make you make the wrong, so you make the wrong choices. Now, just that alone, I think I should just read this one right here. You need to be careful. The sneaky snake is about to come and try and befriend you. They're planning to spit poison in your ear. They're going to tell you a bunch of truths to gain your trust. Then who is the sneaky snake? The viper. He's the viper. He is the man of sin. He is AI. He is the offspring of the viper. He is not human. And throw in lies to deceive you and cause you to make the wrong choices and judgment and decisions. They are looking to gain your trust also so that they can get you to open up and get talking so they can start leaching information that they're really there to get from you so that they blah 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 blah. That is I'm not saying that some people aren't capable of doing those types of things, but this is like the thought process is like there's people out there that think it's a mass scale. Like mass scale, like everybody around me is doing this right here. And they are just I am just so important that they're just gonna destroy me. It's some fun game to them, and that I'm afraid of everyone. And I don't know who to trust. And then when I don't have this is called gang stalking. This is a typical symptom for schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, and it has been believed to be schizophrenia for so long. The government's placed chips in my head using brain to computer interface technology. Elon Musk for over 50 years, at least 50 years. How old is Elon Musk? Been saying these things for so long, and it's always been a diagnosis. Now, I said it like this: if you are somebody, even today, if you are still somebody who believes this and you end up in a doctor's office, you are automatically going to be prescribed pharmaceuticals because you are going to now have a diagnosis for mental illness. But if you do not sit in that doctor's office, you'll start speaking out into the world, false prophet, speaking out into the world, and it becomes known and accepted and understood and believed these days that the government is the one who's doing this to you. Gang stalking. It doesn't have to be government. It could be my neighbors or church members or people at your job. That these groups of people have teamed up. I know some people could probably do this individually, but I do not see an entire city. That is what they say. An entire town or whole government agency, and they are focused on you and they just want to destroy you. Kind of makes you think about how this is where subliminal message and Illuminati fit in the entertainment industry. Jim Carrey, he's always talking about Illuminati. Okay? Jim Carrey. But he played the part for targeted individuals. The Truman Show. He also played um God. What was the name of that title? I'm God. I mean God, but he like it was a Morgan Freeman. He played both of those parts. Jim Carrey did, and it is God. It is God. Um, GMB Bailey. She was a targeted individual. She. I really don't know if it's a he or she. Um, Released from her suffering. Doesn't hear voices anymore. Don't know if the book actually ever says that she was, but she even said that a doctor would say sick, sick, but it's not that, doctors. It's this, and she's fine now. She's spreading her message. She's fine. She's free. False prophet. The book is called GM or I'm fixing to sneeze. It's B. I'm sorry. It's called Bridging the Gap. It's the title of the book. There's a link to it in the book. I used to have a full digital copy of it, but I couldn't find it through my files. But there's a link to it to where you can purchase it. If I ever do come across it, I'll change that link. But Bridging the Gap by GMB Bailey, and she places the gang stalking belief um on the government, and it's on she says it's at a global scale, and that's true. It's a global scale situation, but it's not government.